Okay, guys, welcome aboard. I just want to say hi and welcome to everybody today. We are, let's see, it's a beautiful sunny day here in Pennsylvania, and I know some of you guys are still dealing with some snow and what have you, but in Pennsylvania and New York City, it's great. This is going to be a great session. We have the owners of Chromastics on the line with us today. Tom Dispenza, who is the creator of Chromastics. Actually, I have their photographs right here. Tom Dispenza, who is the president, and he's the creator of the line itself. Tom, his history basically, he spent 18 years working with Clairol, and that's his background and putting together hair color products for Clairol for many years. And then when he retired from Clairol, he decided to do his own line, and that's how Chromastics was born. And Peter Ciotti, Peter, just type in hello on the chat if you can. Just tell everybody hello. Peter is a CEO of Chromastics. Him and Tom have been friends and partners for many, many years. And Peter is more involved with the business development end of Chromastics. And there he is. He's under Peter Thorell. He says hi to everybody. Both these gentlemen started Chromastics really 12 years ago. The first thing I want to say up front is that Chromastics is not a brand new product. Chromastics has been around for about 12 years. However, it's relatively new to me and to you guys. So I started using it a couple of years ago, and I just loved it. And finally, I just said to Peter and Tom, "Hey, I want to be part of what you guys are doing here. So let's make it happen." So I've come on board as kind of like sort of like an educational consultant, and to bring Chromastics into a new era maybe of communication, like webinars and things like that. And so it's a nice marriage. I think that after 40 years in this business, and I've known Tom for most of that time, for about 35 years, huh, Tom? You want to say hi there, Tom?
35 years. 35 years.
35 years, Tom and I have been friends, and I just want you to say that I did not join Chromastics team just because he's a friend of mine, but because I love the product. And also, the fact that he is a friend of mine makes it a little bit better, of course. But Melody, just say hello, everybody. And Kara, you're on the chat now. I'll go on the chat, Melody and Kara. Chris Hoffman, you guys say hello in the chat to everybody. So anyway, let's just move on. I'm going to go through a few things here. Tom, you just want to jump in here anytime. You want to say a couple words to warm up, Tom? Go ahead.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for trying Chromastics. And because I can see the way the orders are going, some people have jumped into it completely and are ordering enormous amounts of color, and I'm delighted with that. And I'm always here to speak to anyone if they need it, and everybody should have my cell phone number because I am the hotline. So anytime at all you need.
Why don't you go ahead and give that right now, just in case they miss it somewhere along the line. I do have the website.
I'll type it in so they can take it right off the thing.
Great. Okay, so Tom's gonna give you the hotline number there. So if you guys have any questions, technical questions or technical issues during your work day at the salon, you can just give him a call and he will get back to you as soon as possible. Kara Knight, welcome aboard, Kara. You're from New York City. Wow, Kara, where in New York City you're from? Where are you, down in the village, or are you up? Tom is actually with us right now from the Upper West Side. Tom lives in the Upper West Side. And Peter lives in Long Island. Oh, Harlem. All right, you're up there. Good, good, good. All right, cool. All right, so let's get moving. Like I said, I'm going to give us a little warm up here, just as a little refresher. I don't want to belabor this, but here's the point. I want this to be more of a Q&A session. What I mean by that is that some of you guys have had the opportunity now to really try the product, and you must have questions. And so you can, of course, you can ask out questions at any time. You can call me or Tom anytime. But beyond that, you can, and if you have any problems in any the business point of view, of course, Peter's your go-to guy there. But I want you to know, I want to make sure all your questions get answered. That's number one. So to get the ball rolling, I'm going to go through a few quick slides here, and then I'm going to stop. But during this whole time, I want you in the chat to ask the questions. As soon as we see the questions start to come up, we're going to cut the presentation, and we're going to answer your questions. That's the most important. That's the mission of this particular webinar. But of course, I did want to prepare something just in case you guys don't have that many questions. I want to make sure you get an overview. And I know some of you have listened to some of the stuff before, but if you're like me, you like repetition, you want to hear it a few times. And Tom, of course, as I go through this, you can jump in anytime you want. Just just go right in there. And Peter, same with you, man. If you want to say something, just go ahead in the chat, and we'll take it from there. Okay. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about how Chromastics works. We're going to go over just again kind of a high profile of how Chromastics works, and then we're going to talk about the differences and the advantages of a pure tone color over a blended base color. You guys know that this is a pure tone color base, and what most other color lines, look for, Wella, L'Oreal, Matrix, for me, I mean every single one of them out there basically except for Aveda is a blended base color. And just to give you a little bit of background, Tom Dispenza he's kind of responsible for Aveda becoming a pure base color line, because Tom was good friends with Horst Rittenbacher, who was the originator of Aveda, and told him he should do a pure base line. But even given that situation, Chromastics is even different than Aveda. Okay, there's fewer products and there's a different methodology behind it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how you can save money with Chromastics. So again, I just want to stress: if you have a question on anything, not necessarily what I'm talking about, just pop it in the chat, and we're going to stop and answer your questions, because that's the most important thing. All right. Okay, so how Chromastics works. Basically, Chromastics is the full line is very small, as you guys know already. There's only 19 shades of permanent color. There's 16 shades of deposit-only color, which, by the way, have no ammonia. And there's 16 shades of the liquid shades, which is a toner, like mostly used as toners at the sink. That's why it's liquid, so you can put it over wet hair. And both of these also have a clear tone with them. Then there's 5 color concentrates, which adds a huge amount of flexibility to the line. Those concentrates allow you to create virtually any hair color you want. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then there's 2 lightning creams, and these lightning creams are to be made for your high lift blondes, and also they're made for your bleaches as well. And then of course there is a bleach, a powder lightener, and then there are 4 different developers that comes with Chromastics. A 10 volume, which is can be used for deposit only, and also it can be used for if you don't want any lift, of course, or permanent. There's a 20 volume. There's a 25 volume, which is unique, you guys. A lot of your color lines don't come with a 25 volume, but you can always make it, of course. But Tom feels that the 25 volume allows you much better gray coverage. So that's your 25 volume. And your 40 volume is primarily going to be used for high lift blondes, of course. All right. So here's just a real review. Chromastics, permanent color line, 19 shades. There's 8 neutrals, 4 golds, 3 red orange, 2 red violet, and 2 blue violet, which are your ash colors. And you guys know by now there's a 3-ounce tube, which is really great, because they really go far. I mean, they last forever. And Chromastics, when it's Chromastics permanent color, not the high lift, but when it's mixed applied to the hair, has less than 1% ammonia. And with these few colors, you can customize and make any color you want. Tom, anything you want to say here?
Nope, you got it right on target so far.
Okay, all right, okay. And again, I'm just going this quickly because some of you have heard this before, so I don't want to belabor it. But the deposit-only color comes with a clear tone and 4 neutrals, 4 golds, 2 red orange, 1 red violet, and 3 blue violet, and 2 gold beige. And again, this is a no lift, no ammonia, and no MEA. Okay, it's traditionally going to be mixed with 20 volume developer. However, you can use, traditionally mixed with 10 volume developer. However, you can use a 20 volume developer if you're dealing on coarse hair and or resistant hair. Okay, so 20 volume can be used with either one. And the color concentrates are oxidative tints. So here is your deposit only colors on the top here. And along the bottom here, you see the Chromastics concentrates, okay, guys? Now, the concentrates in this line are very different than the most other color lines. Most other color lines have, well, none of them have concentrates that I know of. Most of the other color lines have a color line they call additives, okay, which additives are not the same. Additives are made with pre-oxidized dye molecules, so that means that they'll kind of stain the hair a little bit and help a little bit with coverage, but they really don't do much because they're non-oxidative dyes. These are oxidative tints. They're intense in need of oxidation, which means that even if you want to use them by themselves, you need to use a developer with that, okay? But that makes them very long-lasting. Go, Tom, sorry, go ahead.
One quick point, and that is here. The 10 GB and the 8 GB, the golden beiges, those are the only 2 shades in the entire line that are not a pure tone because you cannot have a golden beige that's a pure tone. They have to be mixed. And the way that I made them is it's too complicated for the salon to make it. And that's why those two shades were created specifically because of their difficulty.
Okay. All right, so now let's move on to the third color category that Chromastics has, and that's the liquid shades. Think of these as toners, guys, liquid toners. And the reason that Tom made toners out of these is because they are primarily to be used at the sink over wet hair. So as you know, wet hair, of course, is going to, as you know, once the hair is wet, it's better to put a product on there that's also wet, like a liquid product, and it'll go through the hair much easier. Therefore, you get much more equal toning. If you have to put a tube type color or a paste type color on top of wet hair when you're trying to tone it, you could get kind of blotchy results. So by giving you a liquid, it'll go right through the hair very evenly, and that makes it for much more even toning. So these can be used for toning highlights. These can be used for toning double processed blondes. These can be used for balancing out a color on the ends. You can use them in a lot of different scenarios. Anything you want to say about that, Tom?
No, and once again, it was specifically because what you just said for the quick, fast application at the sink where they're particularly good. And then the bottom three shades, which are the ash shades, the 10, the 8, and the 4. The 4 is exceptionally good, or the 4 and the 8 mixed for men's hair, because they never turn green, they never turn gold, they just blend away men's hair and leave it perfect every single time.
Okay, so again, getting back to the deposit only shades, I want to add something to that. This is your primary line when you're working on men's hair, and I think that's a really important thing to notice because I always hate to see men with like roots, like regrowth line. I think it looks really, really cheap and really tacky. I also hate to see men that somebody has used a permanent hair color on, and now the hair color is oxidized and their hair looks orange. So it just looks terrible. So therefore, I would definitely say that you want to stay with the deposit only colors, rather this deposit only tube color or the liquid shades for your male clientele. Then we have the Chromastics concentrates, and the concentrates, guys, these are pure pigment color. These are pure dye in a tube. All right. I think that there was someone yesterday. I'm trying to think who it was. Kara, I think it was you that you were asking me about toning with a neutral concentrate. Just in the chat, Kara, just say yes if that was you. And I said, I felt that's a little dark right there. Think of neutral concentrate as pure brown dye, okay? And therefore, there's other products for toning that I think are better. Like I said, the liquid shades are better, the lighter shades are better. And then, Tom, am I right in telling her that I really think that this, for trying to tone over highlights with an end concentrate, would just make hair too dark, wouldn't it?
It would be way too dark. And unless you were literally so fast that you could get it on and off in a minute. It's way too dark. David, there's a few questions at the bottom. The first one is from Maria. The swatch chart in the kit, that's the paper, the one that's the high gloss paper. It does look a little bit different than the one that's in the big intro kit. And photography is always different than the swatches themselves. But when she gets a little bit further along and she gets her hands onto it, they are pretty close. But when she does get one eventually, she'll see that they're almost the same. Tracy said she swatched the 8GB and it looked a little mauve. That it should not have done if it was swatched on human hair. Because the three shades, there is a blue violet in the golden beige, but it's primarily 80% is gold, 10% about 14% is the BV, and about 6% is an RO. So it should not have looked mauve. I don't know what type of hair it went on. I don't know the answer to that.
Tracy says it was yak. Yak hair.
Well, yes, because yak hair does not color the same. it always shows tones that are a little bit more ashy appearing than human hair. The same thing with goat. Goat and yak both cause the hair to look ashier than it normally does on human hair.
And just so the rest of you guys understand what we're saying here, a lot of times when you buy hair on the market, you will get goat hair or yak hair. You won't necessarily get human hair. So you always want to get human hair. Whenever I want to buy human hair, I usually go to Pivot Point. The Pivot
Point white is goat.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well, don't do that. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's move on here then. Okay, again, as far as the lighteners overview, Chromastics gives you 3 types of lighteners. You'll have a extra lightening cream with an ammonia content of 1.6. You have an extra lightening super, which has an ammonia content of 3%. And then you have, of course, a powder lightener, which is used only for off-the-scalp lightening. All right. And the XL cream and XL super can be added to any chromastic shade to create higher lift shades. Now, guys, here's the thing. There's a lot of ways that you can use these lighteners. Obviously, a powder lightener is a powder lightener. Everybody knows what that is. And used by itself with developer is only to be used off the scalp, right? Like, of course, in foils or an ombre or something where you're painting the color, the bleach off the scalp. But as far as on the scalp, these lightening creams here are very, very versatile. And what they are, basically, think of them as a no-color hair color. This one has an ammonia content of 1.5 basically, and this one has an ammonia content of 3. So mixing any level 6 color with a Chromastics cream, you can make level 11 colors, all your level 11s. Mixing any Chromastics level 6 with your XL Super, you can make any level 12 color. Okay, so you can use it in that way, and you can also use it in a different way. You can also use the cream color with a little bit of the powder lightener and make a very mild bleach lightener. Okay, those of you that remember Born Blonde lightener or any of those lighteners that came with those little crystal packets, you will get a similar lifting action to that. And that's also how you make on the scalp lightener. And as you know, again, this is not a real detailed program right now today, but in the Chromastics owner manual, Tom gives you formulas as to how to mix these and what ratios to mix them in to make 3 different types of lighteners. To make a very mild lightener for someone with fine texture hair, for example, to make a very aggressive lightener for somebody with coarse texture hair, and to make somebody like a medium lightener as well. So those lighteners, between combination of the cream with a little bit of the powder, you will make your on the scalp lightener. Tom, you have a couple questions. You have a question down here by Tracy.
No, they are not a bleach. The creams are the same base as hair color, only they have no hair color in them. In order to be switched to a bleach, you must add persulfates, and that's what the XL powder is, persulfates. When you mix the 2 together, then it is a bleach.
Okay, I just want to pause for a second. I want to welcome a couple more people on board here. Michelle Henderson and Pam Hodges. Do me a favor, guys, just in the text chat on the very bottom, just say hi to everybody. Okay, Pam has a question, I think. Very good.
What color deposit did you say for men? Oh, David, you like the deposit only colors. I prefer the liquid toners for men's hair, but they both work equally well. And for me, the primary one is the 4A and the 8A in different combinations.
You know, I just want to digress here for a second also, because it's not something I kind of glaze over really quickly, but I think it's really important to mention. And keep this in mind is that here you have permanent color. Okay, we all know permanent color, and this one has a low ammonia, but there is ammonia in it. Of course, you're going to get lift, and etc. And then we have the deposit only color that has no ammonia. All right, but I completely glazed over the fact that that you can mix. This is very unique in this line. Okay, that you can mix the permanent color with a deposit only color and make a slightly ammoniated deposit only color. Okay, it's only going to lift one level but give you better gray coverage. And I think that's really important to understand. Tom, in his book, in the owners in the instruction manual, he calls it super glazing. Okay, that's his term for for that when you mix those two together. And I have to tell you guys, probably 70% of the work that I do is super glazing, because I find a lot of times I don't need the full lift of the deposit only color. And I know that if I don't use, my whole philosophy in doing hair color is to try to always use the most gentle product first to do the job. If that doesn't do the job, I can always go to a more aggressive product. So if I can do a super glaze and get adequate gray coverage, I'm going to do that, as opposed to using permanent color. So that's a really, really flexible and a wonderful, I think, attribute of this line. The fact that you have actually 4 lines when you think about it, because you have your permanent color, your deposit only color, and then you mix those two together, and that gives you your super glazing line, and then you have your liquid line. So you have like 4 different options here to color hair, which I think is really, really great. I think I may have told some of you, like I used to in my salon, I would carry, permanent color before, and I had a demi color without no ammonia, and I had another demi color with ammonia, and all the rest of it. So I think that that saves a lot of money. It's a great attribute to the line, a great benefit.
Tracy has a question, and her concern was that the creams will eat away the dye molecule when making a high lift. No, only if you add the persulfate or the XL powder to it. If you mix only the XL super and color together, they are compatible. It will not eat up the dye. So here, when you mix super with color, it will not eat up the dye. But when you put powder lightener in, then it does.
Yeah, powder lightener will always heat up the dye. So again, think of these as a no hair color hair color. Okay, don't think of them as a bleach unless you mix in the lightener, right. And that's when it becomes a bleach. Is that correct, Tom?
That is correct. And never mix powder with super. It's too strong. So don't do it. Only with the cream.
Unless you want to send somebody to the hospital. We don't want to
don't
do
say that.
Okay, and this is I'm gonna beat this drum again one more time here. Is that Chromastics has no MEA. There are a lot of lines out there that'll say to you, "Oh, we don't have any ammonia in our product. No ammonia, no ammonia," and they try to make a big deal about that. But the truth is, they're using MEA, and I guess you guys know that MEA causes hair loss, dermatized hair loss. These are reports that are on the website that I put together that you guys are available to download. And also, MEA has been confirmed that it can cause that increases the damage up damage up to 85% versus ammonia. More damage with MEA on the hair and on the scalp as well. And a lot of people are allergic to it as well. Okay. All right, aside from all these rules, these things we just said, basically all the usual rules apply in hair color. Some people get really freaked out because it's a pure pigment-based color, so they think that they have to learn everything from scratch. And you don't, guys. All your usual rules apply. Most of you on this call today have my books already, so you've seen this chart before. And basically, keep in mind that as you go up the level system here, you're going to pull warm tones. You're going to pull gold, you're going to pull red, you're going to pull orange. So you have to keep that in mind. Everything works the same. And here's the other thing, too, it's a little bit of a misconception, is that just because you're using Chromastics, you don't always have to use a lot of colors. You don't always have to blend colors. I mean, indeed, there are times when you'll use colors straight out of the tube, with a developer and put it right on the head. So I will say, if you're using a red, for example, keep in mind the reds have no brown in them, so you definitely don't want to mix in some brown to soften it a bit, unless you're looking for a very, very vibrant type color. But other than that, keep in mind that all general rules of hair color that you've learned over the years and that you've learned through my books, if you have my books, do apply. Okay, so I want to go over a couple things that I could call the advantages of a pure tone color over a blended base color. And I'm not here, just so you guys know, I'm not here to bash blended base colors. I mean, we've all used them for years, and they come from very credible manufacturers. I mean, I used Wella for many years. I know that if you're using Wella, L'Oreal, Clairol, for whoever, they're all good, credible colors. I'm not putting them down, but there are some differences, and this is why I jumped on the Chromastics bandwagon, because I like the differences. I mean, they work for me, and I'm getting a lot of real great response from people that have bought Chromastics since they've heard me beating the Chromastics drum, and I'm getting great response. and a lot of things. So let's just run through some of these things. Again, please feel free to chat anytime you want to. I'd rather get your answers, your questions answered during this presentation than me go through my slides. That's the most important thing. All right. Okay. Well, one thing.
I disappeared for a second, David, because I've got new color swatches working in the kitchen. I'm working on a new presentation, so I had to go check it.
You know, that's the other thing is that here's the deal, guys. You're talking here to the man who created the line, okay? Not to some person on a hotline for some big manufacturer. And of course, Peter is on the line with us here. He's not on the video, but he's on the chat. And Peter and Tom has created this incredible line to bring to you. So, you know, anything that you have, any questions you have, you're not going to be talking to some like person on the hotline that, you know, had a 2-hour course on how to do hair color. You're going to talk to the person who actually created it in the lab. So right now he's working on some new swatch out for us in his apartment. Anyway, one of the first things you notice about Chromastics is that it is on the American level system versus a European numbering system. Okay, we call this a European numbering system, and we call this the American lettering system. All right, and I personally think it's a lot easier to understand because N stands for neutral, and G stands for gold, and R stands for red. And that makes a lot more sense to me. The Europeans, as you know, have a lot of different things. You know, it's 0, 1, 2, 3. It's all number related. But here's the worst part about this. First of all, they give you a million different shades, and worse than that, every manufacturer, these numbers won't line up. They won't be the same depending on every manufacturer. Basically, you'll have N is always neutral, and G is always gold, and 3 is always gold, and 4 is always red. But above that, beyond that, guys, everything's a crapshoot. Whether you're using Wella or Goldwell or L'Oreal, all these numbers can change and the total values can all change depending on them. So I just find this a lot easier and a lot simpler thing to think about personally. And here's the deal here, okay? Chromastics permanent color. Chromastics has 19 shades in the permanent color line, okay? You mix it, you save the money, and also, more than saving the money, and saving the money is important to all of us. I'm not belittling that fact, but I'll tell you what, I just love the idea of mixing and becoming more creative. I think that's a really, really great deal that I can actually, and I know it's in the color all the time, you know, versus a European blended bases, which you'll have probably over 100 of these shades in your salon that you have to stock. And I know that some of you on this line are independent hairdressers. You don't have big, huge salons, and you have a small cabinet that you got all your color line in. This color line is perfect for you. So whether you own a salon or you're an independent hairdresser, this makes a lot of sense to me. Chris, you have a question here. I really like about the line that I can personalize it for the client. Yeah, Chris, you're right. That's a very good point. It's not cookie cutter. You know, it's not like saying, like, you know, every client gets the same type of color or tone. I mean, you can really have so much more control once you start playing with the line and doing your swatch outs. I do recommend that all you guys get some hair and do your swatch outs, because that way you'll become much more confident about what the line will do. I mean, I think you guys have probably seen this already, but I'm going to show it to you one more time. This is one we did at my salon. You know, we were fortunate enough to have this girl come in about the time we took on Chromastics, and she had a ton of hair, and she wanted to cut it all off. So I said, save that hair. We're going to do swatches with them. So I had my, my team make this chart, and this is the Chromastics permanent on the top here, and Chromastics deposit only on the bottom. And in every little square here, do you see a square here? What we did is we put this on the virgin hair, which was about a level 5, and then I had them bleach out the hair to a pale yellow and do the same colors. So the right-hand column are the ones that have been bleached out to pale yellow. So we can really see, for example, this 4BV here, like you can see the blue-violet in here on pale yellow. So if you want blue-violet, you're going to get it right there. But it's meant to be put on pigmented hair as well. And look at that nice beigey blonde that it gives you, or beigey brown, excuse me, or neutral brown that it gives you right there. So I like swatch outs. If you're ever not sure about something, guys, swatch it out, and it gives you a lot more confidence about using a new color line. All right, so let's move on. The tonal families, Chromastics gives you 5. You have a neutral, a gold, RO, which is your red-orange, RV, which is your red-violet, and your BV, which is your blue-violet. Guys, whenever you see a number that has, whenever you see 2 letters like this, keep in mind that your first letter is always the primary color in that tube, and your second letter is always the secondary color. Okay, so this tells you that this red-orange has a primary of red with a secondary of orange. And what makes orange? Red and yellow. So you got 2 parts red and 1 part yellow here. Okay, and here you have RV. Tom gives you an RV, and you have 1 part pure red, and then you have a violet, which is made up of what? Blue and red. So again, you have 2 parts red, 1 part blue. That makes your Auburns. All right, and then Tom gives you a BV, which is your blue violet. So that's kind of how you do this. And the reason, just to give you a heads up, the reason he didn't just give you just a plain R and let you go for it is because you just have to mix way too much. You know, these are good starting points. You can alter them from here, but at least you have these to work with as starting points. So you don't have to mix, you know, 5 different shades together to make a color. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes, and if they want pure red, that's what red concentrate is.
That's right. That's right. Red concentrate is pure red. Okay, and again, so you have 5 here to think about. You have 10 or more confusing names and numbers in the European blended base colors. Okay, tonal ingredients. Chromastics is a pure tone base color. You guys know that already. In other words, the reds have no brown in them, and the golds have no green in them, and the neutrals have no ash in them, no blue in them. Versus European blended bases. Now, Tom calls these European blended bases. I'm going to take that a little step further because, Tom, am I not right in saying that even some American colors like Logix or Redken, which are made in America, Matrix, these are also blended base colors, aren't they?
Not Logix, but almost every color in America, except for Logix, is blended.
Okay. All right, so and here's a big deal about this. Most hair color problems occur because the color does something we didn't expect it to do. If you agree with that statement, give me a high 5 down there. Because I know that in the years past, I think the color is going to do one thing because that's what the swatch looks like, or at least, and I go in there and I do it, and it comes out looking completely different. And I get like freaked out by that, or at least I used to, you know, get really annoyed because I didn't understand at the beginning. Give me a high 5. Kara says a high 5 on that. Yep. Tracy has a question here, Tom.
Yeah,
it was said that the reason that the reds fade is because the red dye molecule is large.
Well, no, not really, because they're so tiny. They're literally, it's not that it's so large. The reason that the red dye in the past has faded so rapidly from the hair is 2 reasons. Number 1, there was so little red in the colors themselves. There were mostly golds and neutrals with a little bit of red. So when they faded just a little bit, most of the red disappeared. The other side of the coin is porosity. The more porosity you have because you pull regular color through to refresh, the faster the color will fade. And the color that fades the fastest tends to be the red. Yeah, so that's what you see. It's because of pulling permanent color through the ends and because of blended color lines.
Okay, so given this statement here, most color problems occur because the color does something you did not expect it to do. I'm going to go back again to the swatch. Oh, come on. Where are you at here? No. Hold on.
Well, I'm still on, but I lost the presentation. Oh, there it is. Yep.
Okay, I need to bring something back here. Just bear with me 1 second, guys. Technology. Okay, so here we go. Again, I'll bring this back again, okay? So when I said that statement a second ago, what I just said about this one here, most hair color problems occur because the color does something we did not expect it to do. So, I mean, if you have the hair pre-lightened and you put this color on it, it's going to turn that blue. Or if you put the green on, it's going to turn green. You're going to get exactly what the tube says, okay? So keep in mind that if you put it on pigmented hair, you're not going to get that blue. And that's why, I said to Tom, like on the actual swatch charts, the chromatic swatch charts, sometimes the colors can, like if you look at this as blue here, but that's not going to look that blue on pigmented hair, but it will for sure look that blue on pre-bleached hair, okay? So you got to make sure you put it in the right person. But I like the idea that you know that if it turns a weird color, it's only because you put that weird color in there. If the hair turns green, it's because you put green in there. You want it to be green. All right. So again, the quick start guide, we give you better ratios, and then in the technical manual, which all of you should have right now, you should have already downloaded that from the website. The technical manual really gets into how to use each individual shade, in many ways. Okay, the high lift shades, as you know, Chromastics does not give you 11s and 12s, levels 11s and 12s, because with Chromastics, the methodology is that you're going to make your own, okay? So instead of buying all these different shades, excuse me, with Chromastics, you'll make it. With your XL cream, you'll use that, you'll mix that with your any level 6 shade to make level 11s, and you can mix your level 6s with any XL super to make your level 12s. All right, so you'll just make it. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. And I think actually I'm going to pop into another, let's see, the next one? Yeah, right here. This is in the Quick Start guide. You guys should have gotten this with your kits. In the Quick Start guide, this is exactly what we're talking about. You mix your XL cream, which makes your level 11 colors. It's 1.5 ammonia or 1.6 ammonia, I think, actually. And you mix it with any level 6 to make 6N, or 6N to make 11N. And the same thing here. Mix 6G to make 11G, 11OR, or 11A. And then your level 12 series, here you're using XL Super, because Super has twice the amount of ammonia content as the cream does, okay? See, this is level 3. I mean, this is 3% versus 1.5%. And you'll mix this with the same level 6 colors to make your 12s, your 12s all the way across the bottom. Any comment here, Tom, on this?
Only that it's not mixed in equal parts. You only add a quarter of an ounce or 7 grams of the level 6 color to the 11 or 12, the XL cream or the XL super, and you can use level 4 colors, but they are designed when you have much coarser hair, particularly hair that is Spanish or Asian, and you need extra toning action. Otherwise, you always stick with level 6.
Okay, Tom, Pam has a question down here. So how do you go from a 6 to a 12?
Because the color itself is created by concentrating pigments. And when you dilute that level 6 into all of the 12, so you've got 2 full ounces or 60 grams of level 12 color, and you only put 7 grams of the level 6 color, the level 6 color disperses and dilutes, and you become a level 12 color all over.
So Pam, getting back what Tom just said also, that's a very good point, is that you're not, even though I did not put in this Quick Start guide, and I created this actually when I first started using Chromastics, I should have put the ratios on here, Tom, now thinking about that, because you do not mix these 50-50. However, the Quick Start guide is not meant to be a replacement for the technical manual, because the technical manual is very technical and very detailed. And all of this, as a matter of fact, if you look here, I did put here, for more information, see the technical manual, see these pages in the technical manual, because the technical manual, which all of you should have downloaded by now, gets into the real nitty-gritty about the ratios that Tom was just talking about. How many grams of each to make a certain shade, okay? And you could easily make a chart. You could take the technical manual and you could print it out. Or I know when we first started using Chromastics, I made a couple of Xerox copies of a couple of things of ratios and put them in this dispensary area. So we always had it in front of us until we got more familiar with the line. All right?
I wrote the formula at the bottom, David. For every 60 grams of XL Super or XL Cream, add 7 grams of any level 6 color.
Yeah, yeah. And again, Maria, that is in the technical manual, which you're available to download at any time. If you don't have the link to it, let me know. But it is on the Chromastics website, and it's also in all my emails that I send to you guys. Okay, you can download that as well.
There is also, David, the color formulary that has very different high-lift brunette formulas in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really a game changer. The high lift brunette formulas are taking someone who is a brunette, and by mixing it with a lightening cream, you can actually lift the color out lighter without getting a lot of red color in it. Okay, intermixing. Okay. All right, intermixing colors here. Chromastics is more predictable because you know what's in the color because you put it in. Where, of course, European blended bases are unpredictable. You don't know the outcome. When European blended base colors are intermixed, the results are unpredictable. You do not know what's in the tube. And you know, guys, one thing I want to think about here is this. Like I was a well user for many years, and I could never use the N series color straight on somebody with white hair like mine, because it always had like a real ashen quality to it. I mean, technically it was an N line, an N based color, which is a neutral or a natural, depending on what color line you use, but it always has a really flat, muddy look to it. It never looked vibrant, never looked right. So I just always thought, until I started using Chromastics, that the N series is strictly for intermixing it with other colors, you know, to mute down your red tone some, or to make your your violets not too strong, you know, things like that. But with Chromastics, you can use a straight N series right on the hair because it's a beautiful brown color, because it does not have a grayish undercast, it does not have a green undercast, things like that. So that's what we mean about you don't know the outcome here, you do know the outcome there. And some other color lines, their N series may look green, some may look kind of a mauve, some may look a little pinky, and these are all like kind of weird things that comes out sometimes because of the blended base nature versus a pure pigment base color. Again, when Tom created the line, everything is pure, so you can actually, what you put on the hair is what you're going to get. Tracy has a question here. Can these high lift formulas be used on already colored hair or only on virgin hair?
They're designed for virgin hair. High lift shades will lift a little bit of color out, but it's not very effective at changing hair that has already been previously colored, unless you're going darker, of course.
Okay, let's talk about creative situations for a second. Creative, okay, with Chromastics you can do one-step color corrections. With Europeans you can't. You have to do multiple steps, okay? Because you add the missing pigment to the color formula with Chromastics, the corrections for Chromastics are generally one step. There's no need to fill the hair first. This is a big game changer, guys, really big, okay? Okay, corrections with traditional blended colors require multiple steps of priming, filling, and coloring. All right. Again, I'm going to take you back to this chart once again and show you something here. Okay, this 8G here, okay, was done on pre-lightened hair. Remember, this little square here, we did color 8G on two swatches. One was put on level 5 hair to see what you get, and the other is natural virgin level 5 hair. And here we put it on pre-bleached hair, bleached out to pale yellow. Guys, in a blended base color line, if you were to use 8G on pre-bleached hair, most of them would be very green, okay? They come out green because most manufacturers put green in your lighter gold series. And the reason they do that is because that color hair, that tint, that shade, is not really made to be put on top of pre-bleached hair. It's made to be put on top of pigmented hair. So it'll help to keep this from becoming too gold. But here's the whole idea behind color corrections is that if you, in a blended base color line, if you got somebody with pre-bleached hair, let's say for example a double process blonde or somebody with very heavy highlights, and you wanted to make her just a nice buttery, creamy golden blonde, or any shade, even a level 6 brown or even a level 4 brown, if you wanted to make somebody a brown shade from a highly bleached head of hair, you first have to make her an orange head, right? You have to do a color correction. We have to make the hair color orange first. That's called putting your building blocks of color back in. And then once the hair is orange, then you go back into it on top of that and put your desired shade, your brown color, okay? But you cannot go straight from a bleached out head of hair to your desired color in one step. With Chromastics you can, because it's a pure base color and it's not going to grab any kind of a weird tone. Unless you put a weird tone. Obviously, if you put a green, you're going to get a green. If you put a blue, you're going to put a blue. But I'm talking about taking somebody, trying to make her look more natural. You're going to be able to do a one-step color correction with Chromastics, and you cannot do that with a blended base color. We have a couple questions here, Tom. Can these high lift formulas be used on? Okay, we talked to Tracy. Another one. Okay. Can you make high lift tone?
Can you make a lift and tone sound like Magna. Always better to. I think what you're talking about is bleaching and toning, and I do not. Um, if you're talking about bleaching and toning, if I'm not mistaken, I don't I don't know the ingredients on Magma Color, but I believe they've got some direct dyes in it, and I don't use direct dyes. I do know that they're oxidative, but I don't know how they're made. I don't do them. For a level 6 warm low light on an overly processed highlight hair, do you recommend always using or can you use? No. The answer to Maria's question is I personally use straight G, or I use G with a drop of red orange or red violet in it. I do not. You do not have to put N in the formula. David, did you mix your swatches with 10 or 20 volume?
I did. We did. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Going back to here. Tom, you know what? These were all mixed with 20 volume. Everything. As a matter of fact, like when we did this all together. We had the virgin hair and we had the pre-bleached hair already set up, and we just mixed up one bowl of color, and that same color went on both of them. I mean,
Melanie made a comment about magma, but I don't know the answer.
Yeah, we're not familiar with that, Melody. I'm sorry. We can try to find out and get back to you, but we don't have an answer on that one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, you may have seen this on my website. We call this the 10 things you can do with Chromastics that you cannot do with any other hair color line sold in America. And this came about, guys, when I started playing with Chromastics, and I started reading the technical information that Tom had written in the manual, and then I started really experimenting with some of these things that he said this color line would do, and that's when I became so impressed with it. And I thought, you know what? I mean, the world has to know about this, because this is not your typical color line. This was a major game changer for me, and these are only 10 things. In truth, there really is more than 10. But I think this makes a clear point about why it's a little bit different. And it's something we just spoke about right now. For example, we just spoke about this. Okay, do a tint back in a single step, and I point towards 8G because, like I said, that would be green in a blended base line. Okay, and here in my book, so you guys have how hair color really works. I mean, I've written about how to do. I mean, I've been teaching for years how to do a tint back, because a person comes in with highly bleached hair, and she wants to go be more of a medium brown. You first have to make her an orange head, like I have the star there, and then you can go to your darker color. So that's typical. I mean, that's the way I've always done it in 40 years of doing hair color. That's the way I've always done a tint back. We call that a tint back, right? Well, now I'm saying, wow, Tom says, no, you don't have to do that with my color line. You can use a straight color, whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, I don't believe that. And then I started playing with it. I'm like, oh my God, you really can. And there's things like this that really made me a Chromastics disciple, Tom. It's no accident. Just so you guys know, it's no accident that Tom and Peter are the owners of this line. Okay, because they were the disciples. Tom and Peter, and everything they say is the gospel. If that makes any sense to you. Okay. All right. Pam has a question here. Do you have to use a special shampoo for this color line, Tom?
I shampoo every single client before I do their hair color, and I use clarifying shampoo. And the reason, and I do it also after the hair color. And the reason that I use clarifying is we created a clarifying shampoo that has a lower pH. It has a pH of 5.6, which is lower than most of them. And even though it's a clarifying shampoo, will not strip color from the hair. And that's why one of the problems we have with sulfate-free shampoo, although I know it's the biggest seller in America today, but it's also the reason why blondes are no longer sharp and bright and crisp. Because if you have anyone with highlights or blonde hair, once every single week, they should shampoo with clarifying shampoo, because it pulls out all of those chemicals and minerals that cause blondes to be dull, but will not come out using sulfate-free shampoo. So I recommend that clients have both at home. once a week with clarifying, every day with sulfate free, and I do every single client with sulfate free. Excuse me, with clarifying shampoo in the salon.
Okay, but Tom, I'm just going to say something here, and it's one thing I would say. Okay, so what you've just heard Tom say is right, and of course, it's the way Tom says it's the best way to use the line. Okay, but I do want to say because Pam is saying, do you have to use a special shampoo with the line? You don't
No,
have to. You don't
no,
have to. No, you don't. Right, Tom? I mean,
no, you do
yes, you
not.
do. Right. Yeah, we suggest you do because it works better with that particular type of, with the Chromastics hair color. I mean, there is also the shampoos and conditioners in the Chromastics line, but you don't have to. Okay, so I just want to make a clearness, clear that air a little bit if I can. All right. All right. Dana says, great, good to know. And Tracy is saying that the shampoos and conditioners are great. Thanks, Tracy. You like them as well. Yeah, they're really formulated to work with the line and be very simpatico to the line, so to speak. All right, so how about creating high lift brunette shades? And this was a real game changer for me, guys. Let me tell you, because without read this, the technical manual, I actually called Tom and I said, can you explain this to me? Because I can't believe what I'm reading. And he absolutely says this works. Now, Tom, I'll be honest with you, I personally have not tried this, but can you want to explain this, Tom, what the high lift brunettes, exactly what that means?
The way that we create high lift brunettes with Chromastics is intermixing, and generally the formula is equal parts, or it can be 3 parts XL Super plus permanent tint, but we use very dark color. So for every half of an ounce of something other than the color, in other words, XL Super, which you see there in blue, for every half of an ounce of XL Super, it raises the level of the permanent color. So if we start with medium brown and we put 3 parts XL Super plus 1 part medium brown becomes much lighter because it's diluting into all of the super. That then creates a high lift level 6 dark blonde shade, which you can use on hair that is very dark brown or almost black and get a lot of lightening out of it, but not have a tremendous amount of red.
Okay, guys, look at the chart here, okay? Look at the chart here. Again, this is just a generic chart. This is not a color chart. This is basically the shades of lift, right? So we have the levels here in the middle, and we're going from black all the way up to very lightest blonde, okay? And these are just neutral colors, okay? This is what's called the natural level swatches. And this is basically says that when you have level 3, when you start to lighten level 3, you're going to get a dark red-orange. When you lighten to level 5, you're going to pull orange. When you get a level 7, you're going to pull gold. So this is what you get. Contributing color pigment is what you get as you lighten these colors here, all right? And some people call it underlying pigment. Some people call it residual color value. I've heard it called 15 different things. But all it means, guys, is that when you start lightening this level, you're going to pull this color. That's what happens. So now what we're saying with this concept of high lift brunettes is you can take somebody who's darker hair, like level 3, for example, and by mixing the tint that Tom is telling you, the tint with the XL Super, you're going to be able to lift her up, what, Tom, a couple levels here without making her an orange head.
3 full levels. And not be super red or orange or gold.
3 full levels. So you can take somebody who's a level 3, right, and lift them up to a lighter shade here, and they're not going to be an orange head. That's the deal here. Is that correct, Tom? All right.
Yes, it is.
And the theory behind that is that the super is giving you the lift, but because you're using a darker shade tint, you have enough tonal deposits still in there to help subdue some of the unwanted warm tones during the lightening process. Would that be right, Tom?
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. Okay, so that is really an awesome thing, and I think that is, again, that's quite a different. But you tried that with any other color line, guys, and you try to lift 3 levels of lightener. you're gonna be an orange. You can have an orange head sitting in your chair. So that is really, really great that you can lift somebody from a darker level to a lighter shade and still have it be a more of a neutral color versus an orange color. I think that's incredible.
Tracy's question says, does this work better than highlighting with a permanent color? If you, I like to highlight with the XL Super with a little bit of color in it. But if you're highlighting somebody who's very dark, yes, these are better formulas. My timer is going off. I got to go rinse swatches. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Tom is working for you guys right now as we talk here. All right. Okay, so let's move on. That's a really interesting thing there, I think. Okay, what about creating your own NN series? As you guys know, Tom gives you, or I should say, it's the Chromastics, Tom and Peter. They give you a neutral concentrate. Okay, a neutral concentrate, which looks like. Let me go back to that. Looks like this right here. It's just basically brown dye, and this is pure brown pigment base. Okay. So therefore, instead of selling us a whole other line of color, look, this is Redken. And I'm not putting Redken down because every other manufacturer has the same thing, guys. Look, an NN series, okay? 4NN, 5NN, 6NN, 7NN, 8NN, and all this is, guys, all this is your level, is your regular N series with a little bit more neutral dye load put into that. And the whole idea behind these and how they sell them basically is that they give you better gray coverage, and they do. They actually do because they has more brown pigmentation in them. So what we're saying here is that with Chromastics, you make your own NN series. And by the way, first of all, let me digress for a second. I'll be very honest with you. I've been doing hair color for 40 years, and I never even use NN series. The theory behind the NN series is that it gives you better gray coverage on resistant gray hair. And I find that even on resistant gray hair, I have other things that I do, as you guys probably read about in my volume 3 book, Great Gray Coverage. I give you like 7 or 8 different ways to get better gray coverage out of your color. But if you want to make the NN series, or if you're presently using a line, or in the past you used a line such as Redken or any of the others, L'Oreal, Wella, if you have used in the past, if you have clients that you've used an NN series on already in the past, by all means, you can do the same thing with Chromastics. You're using the N series and just add some of the neutral concentrate to it. And again, I'm going to point you back to the technical manual, and that's where Tom gives you the exact ratios. And guys, you do not need too much neutral concentrate. We're talking about 1 or 2 grams only, and a gram is actually just like 1 inch of color. So 1 or 2 inches of color. You don't need to put like half a tube in there, okay? Those concentrates are pure they're pure dye, pure pigment base, okay? So here you can create your own NN series, again, for better gray coverage, or if you want to make the hair a little bit more opaque, you can also do that as well, okay? And let's go to the next one here, okay? Number 4, you can use the Chromastics color concentrates for the ultimate creativity or as a standalone hair color that lasts as long as a tint. All right, so here we have the concentrates. And I said earlier in this presentation that they give you a tremendous amount of flexibility with this color line because these concentrates let you be so creative, it's unbelievable. On the Chromastics website, Tom and Peter have what they call their fashion tones, and they give you formulas for creating all these very much fashion tones, which are very trendy right now. You know, your forest green or lilacs or blueberry or orange or yellow or pink, or I have the Manic Panic swatch thing here just to show you. Manic Panic will sell you all these different shades, but you can make these colors yourself if you know how to blend them properly, okay? And I know, Tracy, you've done some experimentation with this. I know you've showed me a couple things that you've done already. So here you have pure green, and here you have blue, and here you have red, and here you have gold, and here you have neutral. And again, I'll take you back to this, okay? And look at that green. I mean, that's very, very green here. And the blue is very, very blue. All of these colors are exactly as you see them there. So you can make your own. So you can use them in many ways. You can use them to make the fashion tones if you want, or you can use them to intermix with any of the other colors to make the reds redder, to make the golds golder, you put the green in to make your blondes more beige, right? Because you're going to pull a lot of warm tones in your blondes to beige out your blondes. Again, in the Quick Start guide, I give you a lot of different ways to use this. And again, once again, I'll point you to the technical manual, which is very, very detailed on exactly how to use this. But I will tell you guys, you really, really need to have the Chromastics concentrates in your arsenal because they're going to give you a lot of different ways to use this color line to the best of your advantage. All right? Okay. Pam has a question here. Okay, I use Matrix. It's okay. It's okay. Like you said, blended base colors. I have been liking this line. I have been liking this line. Not sure what to try. I am not as confident as I should be doing color as I should. Not as confident as I should be with this color line. Have used other lines as well. Pam, that's perfectly normal. I mean, none of us, to be honest with you, are really confident when we first start taking on a color line. And again, because this one is a little bit different, because it's a pure base line, there is a little bit of a learning curve to it, all right? But I will tell you that once you get on this line, once you start playing with it and getting onto it, you'll love it, and you'll never go back to a blended base color again. But what you're feeling, Pam, is perfectly normal and natural. Let me say that to you right away. As a matter of fact, you guys read the website that I put together for Chromastics. I mean, Tom and Peter sent me a trial kit 4 years ago, and I let it sit in my office for 4 years and didn't use it because of the same reason. I thought, why change? Why try something different? And it wasn't until finally they sent me another trial kit and said, give it a try, and I tried it that I can tell you. But just to ease your Tom, I'm talking to Pam here primarily. She's used to using Matrix. She is, not sure about this color line, and she's not as confident. But as I was just saying to her, that was the same way, and that's why I created this chart, Pam. Because once I see what it does on level 5 hair, level 6 hair, and once I see what it does on bleached hair, now my confidence increases greatly because now I can see like what not to do. We can tell you what to do all the cows come home, but until you actually do it yourself and you learn how it works best and what not to do, that increases your confidence tremendously. Okay, Pam.
David, for Pam, the best thing that she could do is if she's uncomfortable or a little afraid, is work with just the neutral shades, because you don't need to mix anything, and you've got levels 1 through from black all the way up to lightest blonde, and you just use straight neutral and don't worry about anything else until you're comfortable using just them. Then you can go on to something new.
Yeah. Again, this is why you're on the line here, Pam. It's perfectly normal, and a lot of it just starts with plain, with swatches and swatching out, and you'll get comfortable with it over time. And when I say over time, I don't mean like years. I mean like it's just a little experiment. Just get some swatches and do your swatch outs. Tracy has here. You could have had a Mercedes. Yeah, Tracy, you're right. In the website, I talk about if I would have switched to. In the website that I put together for Chromastics, the hair color review I did on Chromastics, I said with the money I could have saved if I would have used Chromastics early on when Tom gave me the product to try it first, I could have had enough money saved to buy a Mercedes-Benz because the dollar value of this product is so amazingly great. It's unbelievable. Okay, Pam says, now if I use a bit and neutral, but I'm used to adding a tone, so I never use neutrals alone. No, you can use neutrals alone. Absolutely, you do. Again,
yeah, I would say absolutely. Yes, you're right. You can use them completely alone, but you add tone only when you want to slightly alter them, and that's great. But look at Tracy. She started with level 6 colors because they're in the middle of the chart. Remember, level 6 is dark blonde with Chromastics. So as long as she knows she's using dark blonde, then she's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to jump ahead here just 1 second. We're on slide number. Let me see where I'm at here. We're on slide number 28, so I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I want to jump ahead here 1 second. In the kits, you guys should have gotten the QuickStart guide. The QuickStart guide really shows you. This is how to use this guide. It's a QuickStart. It's a very graphic illustration. Again, it does not have ratios. It doesn't get into all the nitty-gritty detail, but that's what the technical manual is for. But the QuickStart guide basically says, look, your first thing to do is start in the center of the page, indicating the mid-level for the range, okay? So on the top here, This is the color base family per swatch chart, okay? So here, in this particular example, okay, it's the red-orange color, okay, red-orange. We're starting in the center. And then it says, number 2, it says work your way out from the center, okay? So from here, for example, if you want to make the hair slightly lighter, but same intensity, you can use a lighter shade of color, the same color, 6RO instead of 4RO. If you want to go darker, you can use 2RO. But if you want to make it more translucent, you could add some of your XL cream with that. Again, the ratios for this are in the manual, technical manual. If you want to make it more pungent, more definitely stronger, you can make it brighter by adding some of your red mixed tone. If you want to soften it out, you can soften it with a neutral concentrate, which will soften it out and neutralize it a tiny bit because this is an N. Or you can soften it out, or you can soften it another way with your gold concentrate. By doing that, you're going to warm it up a little bit, okay? So these are ways that you can, the QuickStart guide kind of gives you a lot of different ideas, okay? Here we start with the neutrals. Again, start in the middle, mid-range here. And neutrals, you always have your lighter neutrals and your darker neutrals. Now these are actually tubes of neutral hair color. But to make it brighter, you can add more gold. Okay, to soften it, you can add your neutral. To add some red to it to warm it up, more of like a red-brown type of a color. You can add your cool red, or you can add a warm red to it. And this is how you use the QuickStart guide. So always start with your center color, which is, here's your gold, same thing. To make it gold, to make it brighter gold, to make it more translucent gold, to make it a little bit drabber, so it's not quite too gold. If you want to make more of a beigey gold color, that's primary for your blondes, then you add a little bit of your with your BVs. Okay, you can add it with some of your BVs, or you could of course warm it down. So that's what this guide is all about, guys. Always start from the center, work your way out. And again, this is the 300 elevated view of what to do. If you want to get into nitty gritty amounts and percentages and grams, go to the technical manual where Tom has went into every single product in the line and really given you more definitive ways to use it. Okay? All right, so let me go back where we started from. Number 28, somewhere up here. All right, so let's move on then from here. All right. How to create a hybrid type of color called super glazing. I touched on this already, but this gives you another whole color line, guys. You're buying 2 color lines here. You're going to be able to make a 3rd color line. Now, I will tell you that in my salon, I was a Wella user for many, many years. You guys know that. And I had a permanent color line, and I had 2 demi color lines. One had some ammonia in it. That was called Midway Couture. And the other one had no ammonia in it. That was called Color Touch. So I had to buy a permanent color line, and I had to buy another color line with a little bit of ammonia in it, which gave me better gray coverage. And then I bought one with no ammonia in it, which didn't give me as great a gray coverage, but it did get what was very, very good for highlighting or for just replenishing color. So here, with the concept of super glazing, the way that this line was actually developed, the way that this wasn't not an afterthought, just so you guys know, this was not an afterthought. This was how the line was actually created, was to be able to intermix your deposit-only shades with your chromastic shades and make your 3rd line of color. And what this gives you guys by doing this is that, remember, this is a deposit-only color, has no ammonia. Okay, no ammonia, no MEA. However, you do always have to mix it with a catalyst, which of course is your developer. Of course, your permanent color line does have some ammonia. Chromastics is not a high ammoniated type of product line, but there is up to 1% ammonia in this color line in the permanent, okay? But sometimes you're going to want to get, for example, very mild gray blending, gray coverage, or even a tonal difference. And to do that, you need a little bit of ammonia, okay? So by mixing 50-50, your ratio will be 50-50, your deposit-only color with your permanent color, you are making an oxidative tint that's going to lift up to 1 level, okay? 1 level. So if you want to take somebody, just bump her up, like for example, from a level 5 to a level 6, and blend in some gray. This is a perfect thing to do. Or if you want to if somebody has resistant gray hair, but you really don't want to color all their gray hair, with using permanent color, you can use super glazing. There's a lot of reasons for this. I do this a lot on men when I want to color their hair, and I want to make sure I get pretty good gray coverage. but I don't want a real strong line demarcation, super glazing works really well. I also have some female clients of mine that I will use a super glazing on because I do want to make sure I cover their gray, but I don't, again, my philosophy in color has always been to always try to use the most gentle product first to do a job. If that doesn't work, I can always go to a stronger color. So if I can color someone's hair, again, rather male or female, doesn't matter. If I can color their gray hair and give them an acceptable color result in using a milder product with less ammonia, I'm going to do that. Because I know that one of the secrets to good longevity in hair color, meaning hair color that does not fade very quickly and that's going to last a long time from touch up to touch up, the number one thing you got to do to make that happen is to keep the hair in the best condition as possible. Once the hair has been stressed out or overly porous, no hair color is going to ever hold in there. So I use super glazing a lot. Any comment there on super glazing, Tom?
Yeah, well, Tracy just asked a very interesting question. Can you use the clear deposit only with permanent color? Yes, you can. You still create a super glazed color, except that in this case, it's a lighter version. And because you're putting equal parts together, the permanent color gets much lighter version of itself. So yes, you can. What you said, everything you said about super glazing is correct. I use super glazing on almost every single salt and pepper client that I have because I prefer grade blending to grade coverage because you get a better grow out from grade blending, and super glazing allows you to use shades that are 3 or 4 levels lighter without turning the hair orange because it only lightens 1 level.
Okay, so when do we use that? I'm going to tell you right now. If somebody comes into your salon, or say they're sitting in your chair, and they have, let's say for example, they have like 30% gray, and in amongst their pigmented hair, let's say for all practical purposes, let's say she's a level 5 and she's got like 30% gray. So here's the point. We have an option here. We can, one, use a permanent color and completely cover her gray hair and have her leave there with no gray whatsoever and have it all one color. Or we can super glaze the hair instead. And what we can do here, let's say she's a level 5, that's our example, we're using level 5. We can super glaze her hair with like a level 7, okay, or a 7 or an 8, okay? And because the super glazing is only going to bump her up from a 5 to a 6, we don't have to worry that the hair is going to be too warm, okay? But she's going to get that level 8 color on her gray hair. So that level 8 super glaze on the white hair, she's going to have level 8 like blondish highlights sort of. But her pigmented hair is not going to be lifted to level 8, so she's not going to be too warm or too orange. All right. So you can indeed take that client that has salt and pepper hair and make her salt like a nice blonde color, and not worry that the base color, that the pigmented color, is going to be too light. And that's what we call a gray blending and using the gray as a highlight, which I do all the time as well. And I think that's a great way to use super glaze. Tom, do you agree with that?
Completely.
Yeah, and like I said about the male clients, guys, more and more men are coming into the salon getting their hair colored. I hate to see men with what I call vat dyed hair. It looks like you grab them by the ankles and dump them into a vat of hair dye. Now they got jet black hair or jet brown hair. And what I hate to see even worse is 3 weeks down the road when their hair starts to turn orange. It just looks ridiculous. So I will exclusively use super glazing or deposit only color on my male clientele. All right. Leanne has a question here. Excuse me, Maria. 20 volume super glazing, correct, Tom?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
If you drop to 10 volume, then you're getting even less lightening action out of the permanent part of the color. So you'll drop down to only a half of a level of lightening when you do it that way.
All right, so it can be done with 10 volume or it can be done with 20 volume. If your main objective here is to cover gray hair, I would recommend you use 20 volume. If you just want to blend in the gray, right, Tom? Yeah. If you just want to blend in the gray, if you want gray blendings, that kind of stuff, again, 10 volume will do. And also, I'm going to tell you one more thing that I do here. With the super glazing and the high lifting, even if someone doesn't have any gray, let's say, for example, you have a client come in, Picture this scenario. She's 40 years old. She's now had 2 babies. She's got, maybe a couple grays here or there, but the main reason for her coloring her hair is not for gray coverage. But what happens, guys, as we get older is our hair becomes a flatter color. It becomes more monochromatic. So this same lady who's 40 years old now with flat brown hair, for example, let's say, for example, she's level 5 and she's got flat, lifeless looking brown hair. When she was younger, her hair was vibrant, just like her skin was. But now that she's gotten older, her hair lacks luster. You can take that same client and put a super glazing on her. Remember, she's level 5. If you put like about a level 7 or 8 super glazing on her, you're not going to make her a level 7 or 8, but you're going to take her from a 5 to a 6. And what that's going to do is it's going to just pop the color a little bit. In the old days, we used to call that breaking the base. Remember, Tom? Just to break the base a little bit. Okay, just lift her one little level is going to make the warm tones come back out and make her hair just look so much better, so much shinier and so much more refreshed when you take that dull head of level 5 hair and break the base by lifting her only one level. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yes, and Tracy was asking on the proportions. If you mix it in equal proportions, Tracy, you get 1 level of lift when using 20 volume. If you make 3 parts deposit only and 1 part permanent, then what you make is a deposit only color that will completely cover gray hair, because that little bit of ammonia boosts it and gives you much stronger gray coverage. So two ways: super glazing, equal parts. Complete gray coverage, 3 parts deposit only, 1 part of permanent.
Yeah, that's a lot of things there. I'll tell you, I have a client right now that I do that has 100% gray white hair, and I make her a beautiful redhead. She comes out. I'm gonna take a picture of her next time she comes in. She has a beautiful redhead. She has 100% white hair like mine, and I use a super glazing on her, and I use three parts. Actually, I know, you know what, I use more. Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually use more permanent, Tom. I use 3 parts 4G and 1 part 4RO in the three parts 4G permanent, 1 part 4RO demi deposit only, and 20 volume, and she's a gorgeous redhead.
Was she the one that was at the salon the very first day that I showed up there?
Yes, yeah, Dolores. You remember her? Yeah, you know what? She loves it, and here's the deal with her. For years, I tried permanent color on her for years, and it just faded out left and right. And then I used a demi color on her for years, and she faded out left and right. And that's the reason why I had her come in as a model for me the day you come to a class or a salon, because she was my challenge. You know what I'm saying? I would do her color, she would look great the day she leaves the salon, and 2 weeks later her hair would brown out, it would look muddy, it would never really look good. But her color is holding so much better. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Let's see. Melody has a question here. Please repeat that formula. Melody, the redhead formula I just said, my client Dolores, she has red hair. She's got white hair like mine, let me tell you. And what I use on her is I use 4G, which is level 4 gold in the permanent color line. And then I use the 4RO in the deposit only color line. So 3/4 of 4G and 1/4 of the 4RO in the demi line, and 20 volume developer. And I get this is just a beautiful red color.
And for that, David, for all hair that is 100% white, I always mix 3 parts gold, 1 part red orange, or 1 part red violet. That's my standard formula on white hair, regardless of the depth, when I want to create a beautiful auburn shade on white hair.
Yeah, and for those of you that have my books in the red the volume 4 about doing redheads, I give that ratio. Again, I don't mention any product line in that book, but I do give the same ratio that Tom just said. If somebody is 100% gray white, you want 3/4 of your formula to be a gold-based color or neutral, and only 1/4 to be your desired red shade, because you don't want to make her too red. She'll be way too red. All right. Okay, Melody, got that? Yes, good. Okay. Trace has a question. No, David said Not to get caught up with pH, but I'm curious about the pH deposit only when mixed with the developer, and I'm intrigued in the science behind the color, Tom.
8.0. 8.0. Here, I'll type it. 8.0.
All right, Tracy? All right. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. Okay, the sixth thing I want to talk about here is to create a full array of Leitners for every creative situation. And what I mean by that, guys, think about using Leitners, okay? Now, I'm just going to clarify the error here. When I say Leitners, I mean bleach, all right? We don't like to say the B word anymore in the salon. We don't call Leitner, we don't call them by what they are anymore, but we're hairdressers here, so let's talk the real thing just to make sure I'm not confusing anyone. We're talking here about creative ways to make bleaches, okay? And whether you're doing a creative technique like an ombre or balayage, or you're doing highlights, or you're doing a double process blonde on the scalp lightener, there are different ways that you can use these products to create the lighteners you need. So with Chromastics, XL Cream, XL Super, and XL Powder, you can create a full spectrum of lightening products from the gentlest on the scalp bleach to the strongest off the scalp bleach. Because of the cream oil base in the XL Cream and the XL Super, they are amazingly useful for those of you that want to paint on lightener, like when doing an ombre or when doing a balayage technique, because they simply will not dry out and stop lightening like most other lighteners. Those of you that like to paint on bleach, like ombre or balayage, if you know that if you mix a powder lightener with your developer and you paint it on, you're not going to get much lift because very shortly thereafter it's going to dry out on the hair. And when it dries out, when bleach dries out, guys, it quits working, so it's not going to lift. If you want to keep the bleach working longer, you can use Chromastics in this way by mixing it with the XL Cream, making the oil type lightener that's going to last longer through your creative processes. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead here. I think it's let me see. I'm actually what slide are we on here, Tom? I'm on the
on page 30 right now. You're on slide 30 right now.
I'm going to come back to 30, and let me just jump ahead here for a second on in talking about lighteners. I think is that it? No. I thought I had a slide on this. No, I guess I don't. I don't. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll come back to 30. Sorry, I thought I had a slide I wanted to show you, but I don't. Okay, so like again, in the technical manual, Tom gives you exact ratios as to how much XL cream versus powder to make a gentle on the scalp lightener, to make a more aggressive on the scalp lightener, and to make a medium on the scalp lightener, depending on what you want to do. So all that can be done with your XL creams, XL Super, and XL powders. Keep in mind that the only one that's truly a bleach, guys, is the XL powder. That's the only one that's truly a bleach. And it's intended for off the scalp lightening, like in your foils, okay, or in your ombres or whatever. But the cream and the super are not bleaches per se. They are high lift ammonia. They're basically ammonia, right, Tom? They're basic concentrated ammonia. But if you mix your cream,
in a cream form.
Yes. If you mix your cream with a little bit of powder lightener, you are now making a mild type of a bleach. And again, those ratios are in the technical manual. Okay? All right. All right. Number 7, create over 25 shades of red with only 5 colors in the line without compromising the vibrancy of the color. Now this is, I got this, guys. I took this chart. I mean, I kind of redid the chart a little bit, but basically all of these formulas are directly right on the Chromastics website. Tom did an experiment to show you the amount of control you have over this line, going from a very, very light auburn to a very, very dark red brown. And this is 25 different shades, and there's 25 different formulas. All of these formulas are on the Chromastics website, and you can download them, you can look at them, you can view them. Again, this is all on white hair. This is not on pigmented hair, by the way. These examples are all on white hair. And this is all showing you by mixing either one with the 5 shades, the ratios of the 5 shades, and or a little bit of the extra lightening cream, or also some of them do have the color concentrates in them. But basically, you're going to be able to make that. And if you look carefully, one thing you'll notice, if you haven't noticed it yet, is that all of these 25 shades here, they're all in the red-violet family, red-violet, red-brown family, okay? So Tom is also working on another whole palette of 25 other shades that are going to be in the red-gold family. Okay,
That's what's processing in the kitchen right now, David.
That's what's processing. I keep beating this drum because I think that when we have 50 different shades to choose from here, we're gonna just blow this out of the park, because I think it's amazing. I think this is absolutely phenomenal. Again, after 40 years of doing color, that I can make up to 50 different shades of red just by using 5 colors in the line with a little bit of mixed tone is it's an amazing thing. I was truly amazed when I saw this at first. You guys like this? Give me a high five on that. I'll make sure you guys are still with me here. Tom and I have been doing a lot of talking. Just give us all a high five. Just make sure you're on the line with us and just say yes. It's much easier to teach this class when we know that you're listening to us, that you're paying attention, that you know what's going on here. All right, all right. We got a 5 from Tracy, a 5 from Melody, a 5 from Kara, Michelle, Pam.
Oh,
all right.
Tracy's
Maria.
asking for a balayage formula. Here's what I do when I want a balayage. It's a little unusual, so pay close attention. First, I start with my powder, and then I add only half the amount of developer, but I go to a much higher volume developer. So in other words, if I want to use 20, I start with a 40 volume developer and make a very thick paste. Then I add a cap of liquid clear into it, which creams it up. And so I've created a really beautiful balayage paste that does not dry out, that's high lift, and has all of the conditioning properties from the clear in the shades. Then if I want to add a little tone to it, I just simply add a couple of grams of any level 4 color. Excuse me. If I want to add tone, I can't use the persulfates. Then I have to switch to a different formula entirely. But I just use powder with heavy developer and with a little bit of shades liquid clear.
Okay, let's move on. All right, number 8. Create 3 different types of ash-based colors for customized driving action. Guys, this is a really great thing here. Most color lines, you can't alter any kind of driving action whatsoever, and you don't even know how much there is, which is which is not a good thing, because that's when your blondes start turning green and you start getting all kinds of weirdnesses in colors. Okay, the ash shades are the ones you have to be the most careful with. The warm colors, you got to be careful not to make them orange. The ash shades, you got to be careful not to make people green or blue or violet. Okay, so here again, we're starting out with a neutral base shade, and you're adding in your green, or you're adding in your blue, or your blue-green. All right, and here's the thing: green is best used. This is green concentrate, so you'll use your neutral with a little bit of green concentrate. This is best used. This is a mild ash. This is best used on your blondes. All right, when you're trying to make a single process blonde, you're lightening them up, and you don't want the hair to become too warm, you can use a little bit of the green concentrate. The green concentrate with your neutrals gives you what we call a beigey blonde. Okay, a beigey blonde. That's the greens. Okay, they're your softest green. The green will give you your softest ash. And again, keep in mind the ratios are very small, like 1 to 2 inches, which is 1 or 2 grams. You want to again look at the technical manual for the exact ratios. Okay, this is the 300-foot view of what you want to do. When you want to get more detailed, go into the technical manual. I'm pointing towards that. So, but when you want to create more of a beigey type ashy blondes, green is your baby. If you want to create really smoky blondes, or if you were dealing with darker hair, darker pigments, and you want to ash out any warmth, blue can be used. Now, blue is very strong. So Tom recommends in the technical manual to only use about 1 inch of blue in your formula, because this is a very strong pigment. Is that correct, Tom?
About half the amount. If you were using green, cut that amount in half.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
David,
All right.
I have a 2:30 appointment and I have to leave. So I
Okay.
want to say thank you to everyone for being here, and I have to check out, but I'll be here for the next event.
Okay, Tom.
So
Thanks a lot for being on for with us. And
thank you.
sayonara. Talk to you later. Okay.
Ciao.
All right. We're almost through here, guys. Anyway. All right. So here we go with the normal ash. Normal ash means like if you want to take somebody who's like a level 5 or level 6 and bring them up a few levels, then you can use this ratio here. And here now, Tom does, or excuse me, Chromastics does not give you a blue green base. You're mixing here a little bit of green with some of your blue. Okay. So basically, like 2 inches of green and 1 inch of blue will give you a blue green ash formula for your medium levels. So this is primarily for your blondes. This is primarily for your darker shades when you're lifting them up, and this is primarily for your medium levels when you're lifting them up. Okay. And if you want to make a violet, you can make a violet by mixing a little bit of your blue with your red to make your violet concentrate. All right? Okay. All right. Transform any color in the line to a very heavy opaque color, such as this. This is what opaque means, or lighter translucent color. Now here's the thing, guys. In America, we like the hair typically, I'm getting very general here, okay? But this is kind of how this pans out. In America, we tend to like, the American general public tends to like hair to be a little bit more, what we call softer hair color, more natural hair color, more translucent hair color. And this is what I mean when I say translucent and soft and natural. In Europe, not so. The Europeans, the Italians and the Spanish and the Germans and etc., Italians, they like the hair color be more opaque, more heavier dye load, more opaque. Now, for many, many years, we did not have European colors here. We had primarily American-based colors, all right? We had Clairol and Redken and whatever. So the hair colors were always more translucent. But now, not so. Now we have so much influence from the European colors. You know, we have Wella, L'Oreal, Goldwell, all these color lines coming with heavy opaque colors. But here's the thing. With Chromastics, you don't have to make a choice. Should I use a color line that's translucent or should I use a color line that's heavy opaque? Because with Chromastics, you don't have to worry about that. You have your color line, which is Chromastics, which is kind of like, I would say it leans more towards a translucent shade because it is American type color. But you can make it more translucent by using it straight or by using some of your XL cream in here. And we do give you ratios in the technical manual how to do that. Or you can make it more of an opaque, meaning more European style if you want to add your concentrates, okay? Your brown concentrate, which is your gold concentrate, your neutral concentrate, or your gold concentrates, you know, or your red. Any of the concentrates can help give you more of an opaque color. And I just want to just say one more example of what I mean between opaque and translucent. And here you see it on hair. And I always use the analogy of pantyhose, like women's pantyhose. You know, like heavier opaque pantyhose, you can't really see the color of the skin through it. They're very heavy and very kind of dark. And a more sheer pantyhose is more of a translucent. So that kind of gives you the idea of what that is. Okay. Maria says, what ratios would it be for the violet, for the concentrate for violet? I'm sorry, I just skipped over that. Going back to here, again here. Basically, I would say to use. I don't have a ratio. I'm not sure in the technical manual if Tom did put a ratio. There may be, but keep this in mind. Anytime you use blue, use half of the amount of blue as you would whatever color. So if you want to make this color, for example, you're using 2 inches of green and 1 inch of blue, and I would say the same thing with the violet. Use 1 inch of this to 2 inches of the red. Okay. Okay. Does it come with opaque with just one? Does it become opaque with just 1 or 2 grams? The question is, would it become opaque with 1 to 2 grams? It depends on the color. It depends on a few things. You have to do a little bit of experimenting here. I don't think that 1 gram will give you opaqueness, but 2 grams definitely would. Yes. Yes. But again, I would definitely, and if you're at all apprehensive, guys, do a test strand. You know, again, after 40 years of coloring hair, I still do test strands all the time because I just want to make sure that I don't get any weird surprises. Okay? Okay, Pam. Thank you. I have to run as well. Special trial. Offer special on the trial deal. Can I customize as well? Pam, on the sample deal, there's 2 intro kits. One is the full line intro kit, but there's also a very small intro kit with only 10 tubes. And you can pick whatever 10 tubes you want, either in permanent color line or in the demi color line, and that's totally up to you. Yeah, in the small intro kit, the 10 tube color deal, you can. And if you don't have that information, contact me later, and I'll give you the website where you can find all that information from. Thanks for joining us. Okay, we're almost finished here. I just have this one more I want to talk about, and that is number 10, the super conditioning ability that Chromastics gives you. Chromastics is made with permanent hair color, contains less than 1% of ammonia, and when applied to the hair and is formulated using hydrogenized wheat protein and rice protein. And guys, this is a client. She has been coming to our salon for quite a few years. She always likes some shade of red. We've been coloring her hair red for quite a while, and this was her latest reincarnation. She had this done last summer, which is pretty, also very pretty, about a level 7 warm red. And this year she tried Chromastics, and we changed her over. This is her formula right here, Chromastics Deposit Only color, and we used 3/4. A girl who works for me named Amanda did this. 3/4 of the 4RO and 1/4 of the 6N. Okay, just so it doesn't come out too vibrant. Just mute it down slightly, and you can see the beautiful tone she has here, and also that she's not overly violet. She's not really overly strong, but it's a nice, strong, very rich color. And you'll also notice the tremendous shine on the hair. Okay, this color line leaves a tremendous shine. Those of you that have tried it, I think and I hope that you agree with that. That you can see that. All right. Okay. I think that I'll just run through this really quickly. Other ways you save money with Chromastics, of course, because it costs less per tube. I think you guys read this on my website, so I don't need to break this all down. But by using 3-ounce tubes and only paying $6.25 per tube, the per ounce application is much less than any other color line out there. The fact that you can create your own level 12s and the level 11s and create your own double N series, double R series, and your double G series and your own Leitners saves you a ton of money. I know it does me. And the fact you can cherry pick the line, which I love. You don't have to buy a lot of products. You don't have to buy any minimum quantity. If you only want one or two tubes of each color, you can do that as well. And so that is a game changer as well. So there you have it, guys, as far as all the different things. You don't have to stock a lot of inventory. This is what my salon used to look like, and I'd rather have this in my bank. So I hope that makes sense to you. All right, so again, I do want to say that in the Chromastics website, or if you don't have it, if you're getting my emails, which I know you are, you'll find all of these downloads on the emails I'm sending to you, or on the Chromastics website. The QuickStart guide, you should, when you're in your introductory kits, you should have gotten one of these, printed one of these. The technical and training manual are their download links on the Chromastics website or on my website. You can go there and get them, or on my emails I send to you. All of these things here, the color formulary, the tips with Tom, are all the website. Okay. Tom does offer private in-salon education. If you have a larger salon, if you want him to come to your salon, he does offer that. There is a minimum purchase. I think it's $1,000 in 1 month's time. Webinars, Tom and I, just like you're experiencing right here today, he and I intend to keep these up. We will down the road be doing more of a specialized type of webinars. We're going to sort of, instead of making them so long, we're going to do, for example, webinars only on redheads or only on super glazing, things of that nature. You can always have private mentoring with me. Those of you guys that get my emails know that I'm encouraging you to email me your questions. I'm giving you my cell phone number. You have Tom and Peter's numbers as well on the Chromastics website. You can contact any of us at any time. And here's something that we're going to be working on, coming out with soon, which is our own online hair color academy. We haven't put that together yet. It's still in the works, but pretty soon you can be able to go online and get a lot more information in the way of an online academy. Okay, Tracy says something. Is there still a minimum $50 order, or can we order what we need now? Tracy, there is a minimum. Tom, you know, it's just, I think it's just difficult for them to ship just 1 or 2 tubes of color out for somebody, and doesn't pay for shipping and everything. So there is a minimum quantity in the open set. Okay, Michelle, thanks. You enjoyed it? Great. Okay, guys, this brings us full circle here. I hope you enjoyed this class. Peter is saying here, thank you for your support. Stop by the booth in your classroom at the premiere show. Yes, we're going to be at the premiere show, guys. We're going to be at the premiere show coming up in Orlando. We're also going to be at the Hair Color Summit in Los Angeles. Tom and I will have We're going to be sharing the same classroom in Los Angeles. I have my own classroom. I'm also going to be teaching with Tom inside the Chromastics classroom. All right. Great webinar. Thank you, Maria. Thanks for attending. I want to thank all you guys for spending this time with me. I want to thank you for taking time out of your Sunday. It shows you your series about your color. Chris, thank you. Thank you. Melody, thank you. Oh, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And like I said, please keep in communication with me and Tom and Peter. We're here for you. We would definitely want to help you out as much as we can. You have our contact information on all of our websites, all of our email addresses. Don't feel just because we're not in your salon per se that we're not with you, okay? So we always want you to know that we're here to support you any way we can, okay? So if there's no more questions, we're going to end this presentation. Stephanie, thanks a lot. You came in late, Stephanie. Don't worry. I'm going to send out a recording for this. I need a little bit of time to do some minor editing, but I will send out a link to this webinar so all you guys can view it as much as you want or as often as you want. So Stephanie, don't worry. You'll get that from me on one of my emails. Just keep in touch with me, okay? All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. And if there's no further questions, Peter, I want to say you guys say goodbye to Peter. Peter's online here. Everybody say bye, Peter. Peter's Tom's partner in Chromastics, and he runs the business end of it. And he's here online with us also. And Peter and Tom are fantastic guys to work with. I would not have ever thought that I would partner up with anybody at this point in my life, but Peter and Tom are both great guys, and I really appreciate what they've done here. So, Peter, I want to take my personal thank you on letting me be part of Chromastics with you. All right, guys. All right. Thank you very much for hanging in there with me for the past 2.5 hours, or 1.5 hours, I guess, almost 2 hours. And if there's no other questions, I want to say bye. Thank you, and have an awesome, mighty day. Bye-bye.